At exactly 1:30 a.m. on August 7, 1975, panic erupted in the control room of the Banqiao Dam in China's Henan Province as Typhoon Nina brought heavy, relentless rain. This was the world's most terrifying storm, having dropped more water in the past 72 hours than the entire region usually receives in a year. The dam, which Chinese officials proudly called the Iron Dam, had several feet of water filling it every passing hour. The needles on the water level gauges in the control room had crossed the dangerous red zone, and the pressure of the water in the dam's reservoir was reaching its breaking point. Engineers had only one path left: to open all the dam's spillway gates to full capacity so the water could escape. But when the engineers in the control room pulled the gate opening levers with trembling hands, they were devastated. The spillway gates had become jammed due to years of rust and debris, making it impossible to open them even with mechanical gears. In this situation, the engineers immediately tried to contact the local government and higher officials, but the storm outside had destroyed power poles and telegraph lines. Then, the unimaginable happened. Welcome back to Ancientgraphy. The wall of the Banqiao Dam collapsed with a deafening blast. 600 million cubic meters of water surged forward like a tsunami, beginning to wreak havoc. But who knew that the collapse of the Banqiao Dam would trigger a domino effect that was hard to even imagine? Why did the Iron Dam, the strongest of its time, become a pile of scrap in its very first trial? To understand this, we must go back 25 years to 1950. The foundation of the Banqiao Dam was laid in 1950. This was a time when China launched a massive engineering project to stop the recurring floods in the Huai River basin. The plan was for the Banqiao Dam to collect the fast-flowing water from the mountains, while more than 60 small and large dams would be built downstream. In other words, the Banqiao Dam would act as a safety valve for the entire dam network of the region. Top dam building engineers from the Soviet Union were invited to design this network. The Banqiao Dam was designed to be 118 meters high, and thousands of laborers worked day and night to build it. Instead of modern techniques, the dam's wall was built with special clay, which was the most famous technique for building dams worldwide at that time. A dam made of earth is as strong as concrete, but it has one problem: if water overflows the dam, the outer walls become wet and weak. When it was completed, official authorities gave it the title of the Iron Dam. They claimed the dam was so strong it could easily withstand any major storm in the next 1,000 years. But amid all this enthusiasm and arrogance, there was one voice that cast a massive question mark on the existence of this Iron Dam. This was the voice of Chen Xing, who was one of China's most expert hydrologists. When Chen Xing examined the blueprints and calculations of the Iron Dam, he warned government officials without fear that there was a horrific and terrifying flaw in the dam's design. According to Chen Xing's calculations, the dam should have had at least 12 spillway gates so that water could be drained quickly in any emergency. He warned that if there were fewer gates, water would begin to flow over the top of the dam, and this earth-built dam would not take even a minute to collapse. But unfortunately, Chinese government officials were obsessed with the pride of Soviet engineering in those days. They found these points useless and branded Chen Xing as a person who spreads pessimism. Instead of 12 gates, they built only 5 spillway gates and kicked Chen Xing out of the entire project. However, the warning he gave did not disappear with time. For 20 years, this Iron Dam stood silent in its place. The warning given by Chen Xing was lost somewhere in the dust of time. But then came August 1975, when destruction stepped into the Pacific Ocean. The name of this disaster was Typhoon Nina. On August 4, 1975, Typhoon Nina struck China's coastal region. According to standard weather models, whenever a storm moves from the ocean to land, its intensity decreases rapidly. Weather forecasting teams also felt that the storm would die out before reaching Henan Province. But as soon as this storm entered the territory of Henan Province, it collided with cold winds coming from the north. Due to this collision, the monster storm suddenly got trapped between the mountains of Henan, and after getting stuck there, it started causing significant destruction. From the afternoon of August 5, not water but a curse began to rain from the sky of Henan. Let me tell you that this area receives approximately 800 millimeters of rain in the whole year. But Typhoon Nina poured more than 1,000 millimeters of water within just 24 hours. That is, a whole year's worth of water had fallen on the ground in just one day. In peak hours, the situation was such that 190 millimeters of rain was recorded in just 1 hour. By the night of August 6, the grand reservoir behind the Iron Dam was nearing an overflow. The water level in the reservoir was rising by several feet every hour. The 20-year-old wall of the Iron Dam now faced the intense pressure of billions of tons of water, and the horrific outcome of having only 5 gates instead of 12 was now quite near. Midnight on August 6, deep darkness, thunder, and a raining curse. The staff present in the control room of the Iron Dam had sweat dripping from their foreheads. The water in the reservoir was rising so fast that it was now just inches away from the top surface of the dam. The water level gauges had crossed the red line. The engineers knew that if the spillway gates were not opened right now, water would begin flowing over the top of the wall, and if that happened, this earth-built dam would not take even a minute to be destroyed. They immediately tried to send an emergency telegraph message to the local government and military headquarters to obtain official clearance to open the spillway gates. But here, the biggest technical collapse occurred. Because of the storm, the telegraph poles of the entire region had already been grounded. Phone lines were dead, transmission lines had broken. The communication system had 100% failed. Their entire contact with the outside world had been cut off. Fearing that it was too late, the control room staff decided to open the gates themselves without waiting for official permission. They ran to the gate control mechanisms and tried to turn the heavy iron levers. But even after applying a lot of force, the gates could not be opened. The gates had jammed. Due to years of lack of maintenance, rusting, and the sediment of soil settling at the bottom, the heavy mechanical gears had stopped working. The intense pressure of billions of gallons of water had completely locked those gates. Only a few of the 5 gates could open halfway, but that was not enough. Every passing second, the amount of water entering the dam was only a small fraction of what could get out. At 12:30 a.m., water started flowing over the top structure of the dam. After that, the soil of the Iron Dam slowly began to dissolve in the path of the water. This was the point when the dam's collapse was absolutely certain. Now, it was just a matter of time. The time for which the countdown had begun. August 7, 1975, at 1:30 a.m., piercing the silence came a sound so horrific as if an atomic bomb had exploded inside the mountain. A 400-meter-long section of the Banqiao Dam was wiped out in a single stroke. The 600 million cubic meters of water stored in the reservoir poured out within 1 minute. This was not an ordinary flood, but a terrifying 30-foot-high wall of water that was moving at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour to wipe out the settlements located below. Humans, buildings, trains, and power poles, all proved to be toys made of clay in front of this water. Thousands of people sleeping in the depth of the night did not get a chance to escape or even scream. But the real terror was still to come. When this powerful wall of water from the Banqiao Dam surged forward, it collided with other dams in its path one after another. First, it engulfed the Henan Dam, which collapsed exactly 1 hour after the Iron Dam broke. After this, a horrifying domino effect began, which destroyed the entire region. The Tashing Dam, the Bogo Dam, one after another, a total of 62 dams crumbled like houses of cards. Within just a few hours, a 10,000 square kilometer area was completely submerged in water. Thousands of settlements, including Suiping and Qumadian, disappeared from the map forever. On the morning of August 8, 1975, when the sun rose, the scene on the ground presented a map of a curse. Where once there were bustling populations, fields, and markets, now there was only water, mud, and destruction as far as the eye could see. In the very first stroke, approximately 26,000 people lost their lives by drowning in the water. But the real tragedy was just about to begin. More than 10 million people were affected by this flood. Millions of people were trapped amidst the water without food, clean drinking water, or shelter, stranded on tree branches and the few remaining roofs. Roads and railway tracks were completely destroyed, making it impossible to deliver help via land routes. The Air Force's helicopters started dropping food, but most of the relief material fell into the dirty water and spoiled. Days passed, and the intensity of the heat increased. Thousands of corpses and animals started rotting in the mud, and this dirty water gave birth to a very terrifying curse: typhoid and dysentery. These waterborne diseases started engulfing the trapped people. People were longing for clean drinking water and were forced to drink dirty water. Due to diseases and famine, thousands of people started dying every day. There were many more deaths due to diseases and hunger following the flood than those caused by drowning. According to unofficial estimates and later reports, the total number of people who lost their lives in this entire disaster went up to 200,300. Such a massive loss of life from a dam collapse had never been seen before in human history. After such a massive tragedy, it was expected that news channels would run headlines, emergency aid would come from all over the world, and there would be an investigation at the international level. But nothing like that happened. Instead, the Chinese government imposed strict state censorship on the entire tragedy. The media was given strict instructions that not a single word would be printed about the Banqiao Dam and the Henan flood. The existence of this tragedy was erased from newspapers, radio, and official records. Even this entire event was buried in top-secret government archives. The government put the entire responsibility on Typhoon Nina, a natural calamity, but never let its own mistake come before the world. The people of Henan, who had seen their entire families drowning before their eyes, were also not allowed to speak openly about this tragedy. The most surprising thing was that for 30 years, the world did not even know that such a massive tragedy had occurred in 1975. But the curtain had to be lifted from this story eventually, and that time came 20 years later, in 1995. Human Rights Watch published a detailed investigative report, which brought the truth of the Iron Dam disaster before the world for the first time. The report clearly exposed that if the warning of hydrologist Chen Xing had been heeded and attention had been paid to maintenance, 230,000 people would be alive today. But was the Chinese government going to come under pressure from an NGO report? But after this, a series of events occurred that started tightening the circle around the Chinese government regarding the Banqiao Dam disaster. The very first reason was the Three Gorges Dam. In the late 1990s, China was going to build the world's largest hydroelectric project, the Three Gorges Dam. Foreign investors, the World Bank, and international engineering firms were afraid to invest billions of dollars in this project. They said that the safety record of China's dams is not clear, and the rumor of the Banqiao Dam is still circulating in the world. The second reason was leaked documents. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, after the internet came to China, loopholes emerged in the government censorship. Local officials of Henan Province, retired engineers, and family members of the victims started scanning and leaking internal investigative documents, memo files, and photos on international forums. Apart from this, in 1998, a terrifying flood occurred on the Yangtze River in China, in which more than 4,000 people were killed. This incident also put the Chinese government under further pressure. These reasons brought the Chinese leadership to the point where hiding this secret would no longer be beneficial but harmful. Finally, in the year 2005, the Chinese government officially declassified the documents of this disaster and admitted to the world that this was not just a natural calamity but the greatest example of human arrogance and system failure. Today, the Banqiao Dam has been rebuilt with modern techniques and massive spillway gates. But the memorial stones built along the Ru River still remind us of those more than 200,000 innocent people whose lives were lost due to a small bit of stubbornness, arrogance, and negligence. Hopefully, you will all like and share this video of Ancientgraphy as well. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.